going? How is everyone today on this Wednesday? I'm just getting a little bit oriented around here. I actually have food with me today. And I'm trying to make sure the food doesn't mix with my art supplies. Alright. Just doing a little tech check. Looks like everything should be good, but let me know in chat if any of it is off, strange, needs a little tweaking. Just let me know. Yeah, I like sometimes check from previous live streams if the audio and settings and everything is good, and it looked like it was okay, so I'm gonna leave my settings as is. Just doing a little check here and there. Okay, alright. Welcome back. Welcome back to my little corner of the internet. Art After Light is my weekly live stream. I try to plan my live streams around different projects, and you can see my schedule for those projects on my Instagram. I'll try to find ways to upload those on different avenues, so you don't have to be always on Instagram to see it. But yeah, today's topic that we're gonna try and work on is figure study, and we have our reference photo off to the side here. It is one of the scenes from Pride and Prejudice, which is the Bennet sisters getting ready for the ball at which I believe Elizabeth meets Mr. Darcy for the first time. So they're getting ready, and I really like this photo. It just looks very painterly, it looks very scenic. It's a very pivotal scene in the movie, and it just kind of also introduces sort of that lull. Like, they don't have to portray the characters getting ready, but somehow that's still like, you know, it's like a soft period. It's nothing urgent is happening, but it's like sort of a transition scene. But for some reason, this one scene really sticks with me, and the way that the sisters look is very appealing to me. Like Jane is very much focused, looking with intent forward, while Elizabeth is sort of phased out. She seems a little daisy and daydreaming. She's holding a feather while Jane's holding her hair. It's like kind of they're doing two different things with their hands. One is sitting, the other's standing. One is blonde, the other is brunette. It's just kind of like this really nice juxtaposition. They look very similar because they're supposed to be sisters and they're wearing similar outfits, but they just look very different in this scene, and it just looks very painterly to me, so that's why I chose it. But I figured today, since we have no time constraint like last week, I'll take my time kind of drawing this one and really sort of working on the figures, working on making sure the two sisters are depicted in a style that works for me. So that's what I'll be working on today. You can work on this in any medium you like. It doesn't have to be what I am doing, and if you're working, you know, in a setting where you can't have a ton of art supplies with you, then definitely choose like the method that works best for you, whether that's just like pencil, pen, digital, all of that works. All of that is totally today's focus is not on the medium but on the subject. So yeah, I'm going to flip over my sketchbook, get to a page that works for me. I'm actually going to be using some paint today. I'll be using paint. I'll be using sort of mixed media between paint and color pencil. The paint is a mix between like gouache, acrylic, some opaque watercolor. So I'll be using those. Oh, I just realized I brought everything except my brushes over. Give me 1 second. So I've got my paint off to the side. I've got some paint palettes. I've got my paint palette here. so I can like use that for mixing. But first, before we do any sort of painting, I'm gonna try and depict. Sorry, I'm in a weird angle today. I'm also gonna try and give you guys a better view of what's happening. That should be better. Okay, so I'm hoping to get like a very rough outline sketch of the scene and then do some fine detailing on top of that. So that will be my plan for today. I'm gonna have my phone off to the side here so that I can kind of check my reference. Okay, and if you will please excuse me, I will be drinking a lot of water and eating a little snack because I poorly timed my lunch today and I ate too early, and now I feel like I'll get really hungry in the middle of the stream. And also it's extremely hot in New York City today. We're in the middle of a heat wave. So right now I have a huge canister of water next to me. So I might just like eat an art today. Okay, so I like creating a little border for myself. It kind of, like I said, I like when I sort of go outside the border I set for myself. It's just sort of a pleasing quality I find in my own work. So I introduced sort of this like nice white border, but it's asymmetrical, it's imperfect. Sometimes I cross the border line. You guys can barely see it because the light here is so strong. See if I can like tone it down a little bit. I have to turn on like intense lighting because it got really dark. We're in the middle of a thunderstorm. There's like a bunch of rain clouds that suddenly appeared, so I don't have very much natural sunlight at the moment. Okay, so let's see. Got sort of like Elizabeth sort of taking up half of the frame here. I'm giving her sort of central positioning. And this is a very rough sketch. I'm not going to give like a ton of detail. I'm just getting like a rough idea of the silhouette that I need. This is the part that'll probably take like most of my concentration because it's like building the foundation of a composition, which is usually the hardest part for me because you're making so many little like decisions on what works, and this is sort of the stage at which most of that sort of commitment is on the paper. I'm also going to try and like minimize how many times I erase and do things over, and sort of like make more of a commitment to my creative decision. Okay, this chair looks enormous, but I'm sticking with it. The perspective is also slightly different, but again, sticking with it. I'm so sorry you guys can barely see it. It will start to manifest once once I do other detailing and outlining. Okay. The one thing I do want to focus on doing right is the proportions of the body. So this is a figure study. So capturing like the drop of someone's shoulder and such is pretty important. Okay, here comes the hard part, which is the hand. I'm going to try and get this hand done proper. It is something that I struggle with quite a bit, so I need to, I'm like kind of motivated to do this one right. It helps that her hand is also like kind of in a complicated position, which is like a position that I normally don't. See? So it gives me more practice. Okay. Alright, so I've got her hands sort of in the right place. And then she's got her leg up on the chair with her. Is she wearing pants? Is she wearing skirts? Who can tell? Okay, and then you can see a little bit of her sleeve here. Wow, this is coming out so faint for all of you. I'm so sorry. Right, let me just lower the intensity of that bulb for a second so you can actually see what I'm drawing. Alright, so that's Lizzie Bennet. And then Jane. I'm sort of leaving the head area empty because the hair is so detailed. I love drawing hair, so I kind of want to leave that for last. I'm trying to make sure that the head of both sisters are about equally proportioned. Jane's is not like teeny tiny, even though she's further away. Quick hydration break. And a little snack break. To be honest, I think I like drawing Jane's position more. I don't know, she just seems more dynamic. She's way more dynamic and it's easier to draw someone who's a bit in motion a little bit, and actively doing something, as opposed to someone who's just sort of like lounging and looking very casual. What's interesting is going to be painting and drawing in the dresses for both sisters, because they're both wearing sort of a cream off-white, and that's sort of a hard color to capture, so we shall see how that goes. For anyone who watches the videos or watches the streams, the pictures, I know the reference pictures can be really small on screen, so if you ever need like the actual high resolution reference picture, I always upload it to our Discord, so you can always see it on there. You can also type it in and find it on Google, but it's always available on Discord for other community members to take a look, so that you're not squinting at a tiny photo on a tiny screen to see what you're drawing. Okay, so I kind of have both sisters like in position here, roughly. And then I'm just gonna sort of include their environment as well. Like Elizabeth is leaning against the edge of a table here. Like the image itself has enough still life in it that it's interesting, but it's not overwhelming and it's not taking attention away from the figures in this scene, which is really cool. It's like it's good. It's enough environmental storytelling without being too much. Okay, here's the little feather she's holding. Okay, and then there's like a bowl in the background, and it looks like a glass of milk, which is kind of odd. and there's sort of like a crumple of fabric. Or like maybe tissues? Hard to tell. Doing my best to try and draw something that I don't even know what it is. Looks like tissues to me, so I'm gonna draw some tissues. And then there's a couple of hair combs, which makes sense. They are getting ready. Yeah, I think I can kind of understand Jane's like position in this picture, because she's exhibiting a lot of older sister, eldest child energy. Maybe that's why I'm kind of drawn to her more in this picture. And there are some scissors down here, just the ends. And then it looks like the bowl just contains like a bunch of random assortment of feathers and sort of knickknacks. I'm drawing so lightly. I know it's like impossible for you guys to see. We're going through this major heat wave at the moment. And it's only for a couple of days, so it's fine. I'm kind of annoyed at myself because I have a very small and a very old AC unit, and it's not very good at cooling down my apartment, but I turned it on anyway today. And I'm kind of annoyed that I did, because even though it doesn't do very much, it racks up quite an electrical bill. And I turned it on yesterday because it was so hot in the apartment. But usually if I just like kind of lie still and not move, then I'm usually okay. But I turned it on, and it was fine in literally just right in front of the AC unit and nowhere else. So I literally, in order to be cool down, I needed to be like right in front of the AC unit. So it didn't even matter if I turned it on, because like I would like walk around and then the rest of the apartment would be very musty and hot. So it felt kind of like I turned the AC on for nothing. So I'm kind of annoyed that I did that when I could have just left a fan on and not racked up a huge Con Ed bill. Alright, I'm doing this little candlestick holder thing, which is very cute. It's a very fun thing to draw. It's a very, very rough picture at the moment. Okay, so you can very vaguely see my outlines. And we'll just zoom in a little bit so you guys can see more of it. But yeah, I've got the setting here. I've got the two sisters standing, one sitting. The chair was the hardest part for me. Alright, now I'm going to sort of zoom out and see if there's anything else I need to do. There's like a lot of the paneling of wood There's a lot of paneling of wood happening in the background. So I'm just gonna include that so that there's a bit of perspective happening. It's a bit subtle, it's not too extreme, it's not a very difficult perspective. So I'm just gonna include the panels there. And that should sort of finish out the rest of the composition for me. So I took June off. I took the month of June off to like sort of rest and recuperate, and now I have like a ton of stuff. It sort of just like hit me all in a flash towards the end of June going into July, where I first of all found out I got into a convention in Providence, which is a really big one. I kind of wrote them off because I didn't think I'd gotten in, and I thought I'd like, because sometimes like when there's markets happening and it's volunteer run, sometimes it's difficult for them to reach out to vendors that they've rejected. So I kind of assumed I was rejected and I just wasn't told. So I just kind of was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not going to Providence next month, which is fine. I would have been able to find alternative markets or things to do, or worked on my portfolio more. But I did get in, and now I have to commit like a half a week to traveling up there, staying up there, and also spending quite a lot of time this next few weeks like prepping a amount of inventory for there, because it's a horror convention. It's a Lovecraftian cosmic horror based convention, and I have not enough stuff in that sort of, I have some but not enough things that could fit that bill of being sold at a market that caters to that theme. And I really wish that I had known maybe a little bit earlier so I could be more prepared, because I did have a ton of sort of Halloween themed spooky ideas that I was going to do, but then I like had them on my list of projects to accomplish, and then I just didn't because I was waiting to do it later in the year closer to Halloween. But now I have to do them like now. I was going to do all these projects that were Halloween themed in like August and September. I have to do them like now in July now. So I have to do a lot of that. And then I also found out that one of the print labs, one of the print like workshop centers in Manhattan, every year does a fellowship, and I really want to do it. It's for next year. It's the 2027 Studio Fellowship, and I really, really want to do it. And their application deadline is right before the convention. So now I have to not just prepare things for the convention, I also have to prepare things in portfolio for my application to this fellowship. So I'm a little bit haggard. I'm going to be very haggard the next couple weeks, just as a forewarning, because I will be arting like crazy. I will be generating so much art these next few weeks that I feel like maybe I could have taken on in June if I'd known. It's even more frustrating because June, I literally could have been doing this in June when I didn't have anything else scheduled. And I just didn't realize it at the time. Alright, so I'm drawing Lizzie's side profile. I kind of do foreheads really weirdly. I don't love how I do foreheads. Foreheads are hard for me. Something about that angle. It always comes out looking a little bit wonky. So I'm just gonna do that. Not even gonna give her a forehead, because it's gonna get covered with hair anyway. And then I'm just gonna give her eyes some depth her gaze is very unfocused. She's just looking pretty unfocused out into the distance, and that's sort of hard to do. So I'm just gonna do it and see where it goes. She's also kind of in this like 3/4 perspective as well. She's not fully side profile, so it's just kind of, the angle is a little bit weird. But yeah, she's got this heavy lidded sort of look, and I'm trying to make her look anatomically and physiologically correct, but oh, hello! Welcome to my stream! Yes, I love this movie. It is so gorgeous, and I've chosen one of my favorite scenes from the movie, so yeah, if anyone's tuning in, feel free to draw with me, or like watch the VOD and draw later if you can't at the moment. This is my stream, Art After Light, so welcome. I'm just kind of blabbing about my creative decisions as I draw this. I am gonna say, like, I have a feeling my drawing already will not look like Keira Knightley, the actress who plays Elizabeth. I already know that this will be very difficult to recreate her face in a way that's, I don't know, maybe that's what I have to learn from studies like these, is that I have to spin these characters into my own design. I have to make them my own. I have to make them, these drawings are not meant to look photorealistic, so maybe that's the goal. The goal is to draw in your own style as much as possible and embrace it. Because I'm like, oh, like, I want this to look exactly like Keira Knightley. Not gonna happen, unfortunately. I can make my own version of Elizabeth Bennet on my own. Oh, thank you! Oh, I'm so glad you can even see it. I was looking at my stream to see if the line work was getting captured, and it's so faint. So hopefully once I start doing the detailing and the painting, it will be a lot more obvious, like, what I'm drawing. I'm gonna leave the hair for last, because I'm just gonna very generally sketch out the hair, because I love drawing hair and I will spend the entire stream drawing it if I'm not careful. So I'm just gonna do a little rough outline of their hair, just so I know how much space it takes up on the page, and not so much like do the detailing just yet, even though that's my favorite part, is to do every single curl. But welcome! I'm reading your name as Andrea. Welcome to the stream. Let me know if you're also drawing as well. I would love to know if you're also doodling with me. Alright, now I'm realizing that Lizzie's hair is taking up quite a bit of the page, and I drew Jane's face too close to it, so I might have to erase Jane's face a little bit. And tilt her head up a little bit more. I'm gonna move her head. It's so hard to capture this because it looks like Jane is like peering upwards, so her face, so it's like her head and her neck is pointing really down, but sort of her forehead and her eyes are lifted up because they're peering up into a mirror, I'm assuming. So it's kind of hard to capture that subtle movement in this drawing, but we shall try. But those are like things to look out for when you're trying to study something, is like, okay, where is the sort of dynamic lines going? She also has this like very small smile, but very like, but it's almost like pursed, like she's like pursing her lips, like she's concentrating, even though doesn't look angry or anything. She's just like smiling a little bit, but not enough that it indicates that she's focused. Gosh, I can't believe this is... I forget the actress's name, but I love this actress because I think this is her first role that I've seen her in. But she's also the same actress who was in Gone Girl. She was absolutely crazy in Gone Girl. It was like... That is not a character. She has such good chameleon abilities to be able to portray such different personalities. Gosh, I need to look up this actress's name because she's great. I really like her. I feel like she's a really great, I don't want to say method actress, I don't know if she is, but she does seem very much versatile in her skill set, which I really like. Gosh, her eyes and Lizzie's eyes are so different. One looks very anime and the other one does not. Oh well. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you're enjoying the process. I'm like totally just word vomiting, I feel like, when I do these streams, because I'm just saying many things and not sure if it makes sense. But my aim for having these streams was to actually see other people's artwork. It's good for me to like practice on my own as well. But I realized that my biggest lesson that I learned this year was that I actually produce a lot more creative work and have a lot more creative ideas when I'm surrounded by other creative people. Because I have spent quite a bit of time like making things on my own, and I don't have that sort of same energy when I'm around people who are also creative. It's very different. It's very much enlivening, emboldening if you're with like people and you're talking about creative things and techniques and things that inspire you with different people. So that was kind of my goal when I started the stream, was to create that environment for other people, and also to be in an environment and a community of people who maybe want to practice their art skills amongst others. So yeah, this was definitely like a thing that I wanted to bring people together, but also is slightly selfishly motivated as well. Okay, I actually like Jane's sort of profile more. It just looks more, I don't know, I think I tried to go a little bit too... Okay, I'm actually going to erase Elizabeth Bennet's eyes. I don't like how different they look, so I'm just gonna stick to how Jane looks. Because she kind of has a more like, she's more portrayed in a way that I would prefer. She's kind of following, like I said earlier, I think I find drawing Jane to be more enjoyable. I probably just resonate with her more because she's the eldest of 5 daughters and I'm the oldest out of my siblings, so just relate to her maybe. Always hard at work, taking care of your siblings. Yeah, I kind of like how she looks a lot more dynamic this way. But yes, for anyone joining, I have a Discord that has the reference photo on there, so if you need a better photo than the one that's on the stream, feel free to join the Discord and use the reference photo that's there. It's there to help you get a better high-resolution photo image. Okay, now she looks like, now her hair and head look enormous compared to her body, but I can fix that. I think I can fix it. Alright, this is the part where I'm like, okay, I can see my image is now sort of bursting off the borders that I made, and I like that. That's kind of introduces this like nice level of action to the drawings I make. Yeah, so it's been a very, very long time since I've done like art classes. I did a lot in high school, and my family was actually very supportive of the idea of me going to art school. I don't know, I think I got like very, and oh yeah, she does look a bit like Kate Winslet. Yeah, Elizabeth's profile kind of resembles Kate Winslet's. Yeah, she does. She kind of has that dreamy look to her. Sort of like young Kate Winslet from... I mean, Kate Winslet was also in another Jane Austen adaptation. I think she was in... Was it Persuasion? I forget which one. But she was in another Austen movie. I know that. But yeah, Kate Winslet's face is like just built for period movies. I feel like she just has a very romantic face. I feel like, and yeah, I can totally see that with Elizabeth as well, with Keira Knightley. So yeah, fun thing about Keira Knightley is that I thought the first role I ever saw her in was in Pirates of the Caribbean, because she is very young in that movie. I think she's like 18. It's one of her roles, like breakout roles. And I thought Keira Knightley's role there was the first I'd seen of her, but no, she was in the first Star Wars prequel. She was in the Phantom Menace, and she was acting alongside the actress who plays Padme Patel, or Queen Amidala. And she's even younger in that role. Sense and Sensibility, thank you. Yes, that is the role I was thinking of. I need to rewatch that movie. Because, it's Alan Rickman, right? Alan Rickman plays opposite her. Alan Rickman? Is that his name? Oh my god. I'm so bad with names. R.I.P. though. He's one of my favorite actors. Okay, I'm actually really liking how Jane looks here. She kind of has the look that I want. The body proportion and the angle that she's at is where I kind of want it to be, and she's also sort of depicted in my style. She doesn't look too much like the actress. She's depicted in a way that works for me. It's really just Elizabeth I need to work on. Yeah, I know. Names are hard. I need to that's what I love when I go to like someplace new and like a class or workshop and they're like, here's a name tag. And I'm like, oh, thank God, I won't remember anyone's name otherwise. Alright, I think Lizzie's face is just intimidating me a lot, so I'm just gonna leave that till the end. I realize that I'm one of those artists who kind of can't be troubled. I can't be like caught in a moment of like trying to do something perfectly in the moment. Like I'll go back to it. If I'm butting my head against the wall, I have to like step away and then come back. Oh yeah, the older sister definitely gives more sort of, she's kind of very aggressive. She looks kind of aggressive in my drawing, I feel like, but maybe that's the goal, is to get her to look kind of focused, but also like I will try to soften her a little bit. Yes. Alright, and then I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, but it's very hot here where I am, so I'm drinking a ton of water, and I also did not eat at the proper time, so I have a bowl of edamame next to me, so if you hear me like drinking and gulping things down, that's like because I'm hydrating and I'm also eating. Okay. I'm going to be rude and talk with my mouth full a little bit. Okay. I think, because I wanted to paint. I wanted to paint this. But maybe I'll do a little bit more outline work. Yeah, you know what? I did this with a brown pencil, but now I think I'm going to get like a proper pencil and outline it. Alright, since Jane is like mostly complete, we'll focus on Jane a little bit. And I'm gonna try and like soften her up a little bit so she's not so sharp lined everywhere. Introduce a little bit of that sisterly energy. I watched the, there was another Austen movie that had a modern day reinterpretation. It was, it had Dakota Johnson in it. And it was called, oh my goodness. It was sort of like that weird thing where she would like look at the camera and break the fourth wall. Like she would like, it felt like it was filmed in a way where it was meant to be sort of comedic. And it was okay. I don't know. I feel like Pride and Prejudice set like a really high standard for me. It's like really hard for other film adaptations to come close. Although I do need to watch some of the older ones, like Sense and Sensibility. Oh, a vote for Pride and Prejudice. It is so good. The casting was good. The way they built the world was so good. The chemistry between... It was so subtle, the chemistry. It was like not in your face. There was tension, but it was like, I don't know, it felt very intellectual and it felt very emotional and it felt very like, it just felt like much of the time, which is like very, very much like there wants to be passion, but it's not like Bridgerton passion. It's like sort of, it felt less physical and more like two souls like sort of meeting, which meant that it was more nuanced. It felt like it was more character and personality driven than it was like physically driven. Yes, the clothing was so good. I mentioned this at my last stream that I saw a YouTube video of a person who works in costume design explaining how Pride and Prejudice had like really great costuming because they recreated the authenticity of the costumes within that world. So basically like Lizzie is someone who tends to go through the fields and wanders in the wild a lot, and she's very outdoorsy, and so her clothes like reflect that. Her clothes reflect her clothes were very much like covered in mud, and they were weathered, and they were simple, and she wasn't wearing these like glamorous gowns everywhere. She was wearing very simple frocks. But because she herself was a very beautiful person, she still managed to like command presence. And yeah, that was like, and the fact that the costuming team had to like go and basically like trample on and spray mud and do all these things to these fabrics so that when she like wore these costumes, it was like realistic. Is so much extra work. But I love that. I love that it's like a very subtle detail that they added to the movie to make it a relevant part of the world. Because there's nothing that's more like immersion ending to me than if like proper research hasn't been done. So yeah, actually a funny instance of that is I recently watched The Mummy, the old one from the 90s with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, and I know it's a very funny movie and I know it's like ridiculous. I actually was scared of that movie for a really long time, so I finally watched it as an adult and found it like it's like one of my favorite movies now. But there's a lot of moments in the movie where they handle snakes and they keep saying poisonous, and I'm like, it's not poisonous, it's venomous. The word is supposed to be venomous, and it's really annoying when these supposedly like smart people, archaeologists and like people who are supposed to know these things, snake experts, are saying poisonous the whole time. It's poisonous if you ingest it, and you're not ingesting a snake. A snake is biting you, which in that case is venomous. So yeah, it was just really funny to me because it really broke the immersion of The Mummy, which is already a ridiculous movie. It's a movie that's not even meant to be like realistic and authentic, but it was just like, I'm supposed to believe that these super smart people are saying the wrong term for this snake. Okay, I've got Jane's eyes are sort of in place now. Okay, they look better. They look better. Oh, you guys can finally see the outline of what I'm drawing because it's now a pencil drawing. It's because the apartment gets so dark once the sun goes down in this corner that I'm streaming in, so I have to like have all of these bright lights. Actually, these lights are going to be brutal for the rest of the summer if it gets really hot, because I just have a lot of really hot lights pointing at me. But yeah, I'm in the wintertime these will feel great, but yeah, right now they feel extremely hot in a very hot apartment. Also, like the Discord, I know I sort of mentioned would be good to look up the reference pictures as well as like just general information about streams, like what other future topics are going to come up, because I do upload those every month where I plan out every month like what we're going to do together on the streams. So those calendars will be both on my Instagram and on the Discord, but also for us to share our artwork. I would love for everyone to share, like if you participate and draw with me, I would love to know and see your finished pieces, the artwork that you've managed to create. I know there's loads of talented people and artists out there, lots of people who do creative work, and it would be very lovely to see us all draw the same thing and share it. So that's what the Discord is primarily for, and has been my hope would be the reason people would join, is to kind of share their artwork. And also, I mentioned this in the last stream too, but like I want this to be a community of like encouraging people to pursue creative practice and enjoy themselves creatively more frequently. and it's less to do about like technical like feedback. But if that is something that you would want, and more people sort of request it, then I think that could be fun as well, is to have a healthy feedback from members of the community on how you're progressing. If there's artwork that you need like critique on, feedback on, and you request it, then that is certainly something that I can consider. But for the most part, you know, the default is not to go in and tell people like what their art should or shouldn't look like. It's more just like the art of doing it is more important to me, because we so rarely have time to do creative work nowadays, that I am trying to find ways to do it more often, which is kind of been a lifelong goal as well. Alright, so I'm kind of working on Jane's bodice here, and it's quite intricate. It's all like cream colored, very lovely work, but it's also got a lot of little hidden lines. So I'm just gonna ignore that section for now. Okay. I am the kind of person that likes to do very fine line work, but with colors and text and backgrounds and stuff, I like it to be very messy and textured. So I have a feeling when I start doing this in color, I'm gonna just sort of like spill paint essentially as much as I can, and then go over it with detailing, lines, punches of color, things like that. Alright, so I've kind of got Jane's face down, which I like. Alright, now I'm going to try and attempt Elizabeth's, because I think getting the faces down is the most important. The rest is kind of like there. All of this is space filler. It's really the faces and the frame of the women that are important to me. I kind of want to watch the new Bennet TV show on BritBox. It's called The Other Bennet Sister, I believe, and it follows the middle Bennet sister. I think her name was Mary. I can't remember. But she's the Bennet sister that kind of is like the one who isn't like enthusiastic about getting married. She's sort of like forgotten. Okay. I feel like I don't really see that actor for Mr. Darcy in many roles. I'm sure he's playing a lot of roles. He might also be in like a lot of theater that I don't know about. So I feel like a lot of English actors and actresses are in theater. But I remember like I loved him in Pride and Prejudice, but then he was also in a Marvel movie. He was in a Marvel movie. I forget which one. But yeah, it really threw me when he showed up. I was like, I know this actor. And he had aged a little bit, but I still recognized him, and I was like, oh my god, is this Mr. Darcy? It made it kind of hard to enjoy the movie, because I was like thinking he was Mr. Darcy the whole time. I know I'm sure he's been in a lot of roles that I don't know about. Yeah, the gazebo scene, in senior or junior year of high school, we were told to do a book report on a book that was also a movie adaptation, and I did Pride and Prejudice because I loved it. I loved the book and I loved the movie, and we were told to we did like a report, and we did a presentation on our reports, and we were told to present the scenes. And so my scene was the gazebo confession. The very confused gazebo confession. That was the scene that I shared during my presentation. I do remember that I went over the time limit because the scene was very long and I kept talking about it. When I'm given the floor, I like kept talking about it. But I do have a traumatic memory about it, because not because of my presentation, but because someone else in my class did Hannibal. So they did they read a book. They read the book Silence of the Lambs, and then they did a presentation showing a snippet of the movie. And I remember having to cover my eyes because I really didn't want to see it. Okay, that's what I needed to do. So I erased Elizabeth's eye to do it again, and I made it sort of look kind of sleepy. And I think that's the mood here, is to make her look kind of sleepy. She isn't actually sleepy, but she's like kind of gazing in a way that looks like she's sleepy. So I'm gonna leave it like that. It's because she just looks so nonplussed, because Keira Knightley has very heavily lidded eyes, so she just looks very tired. I know the gazebo is a pivotal scene and really important. And I love that scene because it's it's so dashing, and Mr. Darcy's so dashing. But my favorite moment is actually when she's leaving his estate, and he holds her hand to help her onto the carriage, and you can see him be really emotionally excited about it, but he holds it back so much. So that scene where he's just kind of shaking out his hand, and she's just kind of shocked that he had held her hand, because I think back then you weren't supposed to have skin contact or something, so it was just sort of an extra thing of it being very intimate between them, and it was also they were better inclined towards each other. He wasn't super aggressive, and she was having a better understanding of him, and I felt they were sort of meeting in the middle more, whereas earlier times they're sort of battling. I know this is tricky for people watching the stream to be hey, let's converse and talk and be engaged online, but also I want you to do this extremely hard artistic study at the same time. Alright, I need to make this look in a way where Elizabeth looks like she has lots of hair, and isn't just doesn't have just a very short haircut. I'm just gonna keep tweaking at her eye. Her eye's the part that bothers me the most. Okay. Alright, I'm just kind of getting her figure finalized. There's like a... You know what? Maybe it's her jawline. Maybe it's her jawline. She just looks a little bit too different from her sister. I'm trying to make it look like they are at least related. Okay, I kind of reformed her jawline a little bit. We shall see if that's if that works. Okay. Alright, I'm just going to very softly delineate the rest of her anatomy, which is important too, not just her face. Okay, alright, I think I'm ready to just sort of paint now. I'm kind of getting that painting itch. So I just wanted to get sort of the general anatomy perspective and the proportions correct before I started adding color. And let me see if I can start. This paper might do a hard rejection of the amount of paint and water I'm going to put on it, but it's okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm mixing colors right now. I'm going to try and get sort of the color I need for the walls. Oh no, I just found out one of my paint tubes is completely dried. Well, there goes that white. That's what happens when you have paint for ages that you haven't used. Okay, I'm going to start with the background first, because that will introduce Sort of a nice, fun, like, context. It will really sort of set the scene. This is like a mix of watercolor and gouache. Okay, this paper is very absorptive. It wants to soak up all the moisture. I am getting a lot of like fun textures out of it though. And again, you know, the goal in these studies is not to achieve perfection or realism, unless that's the goal of the stream. For instance, there's going to be streams where we'll do master studies, and a master study is basically trying to render a scene, a drawing or illustration, a painting, as close to how the original artist depicted it. So unless it's one of those, then you don't have to worry. But in this case, I am focusing on the topic of the stream, which is just that we try to study figures more. That's why I like it when it's like studies. It's like it implies that you are learning for the sake of learning. It's not like a test. It's not like something graded. It's just a way for us to learn together, build skills together, and not so much focus on result. Gosh, I wish you could see how like lush this color actually is. It's very hard to see because it's just like blending into the white paper very well. But it actually has quite a lot of greens and blues in it. Yeah, this is actually a really nice, fun reprieve considering I spent the last couple weeks panicking about August, which is when a lot of things are due for me. I have a lot of things that need to be done in August. I feel like once August is over, I'll be able to like just collapse and recover and start to plan out my enjoyment of Halloween, which is kind of Halloween is like the big one for me. Halloween is my Christmas. It's my favorite holiday. I look forward to it every year, and I stress out in the month before leading up to Christmas, or leading up to Halloween, and then I spend all of October wondering if I should be doing more Halloween-y things. And then before I know it, it's November. So I should really just live in the moment more, is what I'm saying. Okay, I think I have just the general background colored in. Alright, let's see if I can get a nice peachy skin tone for both of the sisters. There's like a part of me that's like, what if you just leave their skin just like white and not have to color it in, not have to stress about it? And I'm like, that sounds really nice, but also I kind of want to work on skills involving skin tone color. I'm just mixing together the colors that I need. I'm actually mixing it with the whites that went into that background color as well, so there's a little bit of like mixing between the two. So I actually don't use this these paint tubes very often, hence the very dried out paint tube that I just found. I'm actually someone who does a lot of works with inks. I like a lot of inks. I like using watercolor that's in liquid form. I don't really use the tube versions of it. So I'm used to very thin washes. I'm used to very like clear colored paints. I'm not very familiar with using like very thick blocks of paint that are very opaque. I'm used to like very subtle layering. Alright, I know she's looking very pale on this paper, looking at the camera, but she's actually quite darker than I hoped she would be. Or at least the paint is coming out a bit more opaque than I hoped it would be. I was looking for more like, just like very, very thin washes of color, but she's, the gouache I think is a little bit more opaque than I'm used to, so it's actually making her a bit more opaque than I was looking for. I'm hoping I have enough here to color in Jane as well. I just have her general form sort of colored in. It's probably this white. This white is very opaque. Oh, thank you. I usually play a lot of, I used to play lo-fi music, and I still like listening to lo-fi, but I figured, you know, my theme, my branding for this stream is very much like a witch traveling through the woods. And I figure she's not going to be listening to chill hop lo-fi radio. She's gonna be listening to the woods. And I actually started listening to nature soundtracks more, because I sometimes get like huge creative ideas when I'm doing chores, and if I'm playing music I kind of get distracted, so. I'm so glad that you enjoyed the soundtrack, nature's soundtrack. Alright, you know what, I kind of like that Lizzie's a little bit more suntanned. She's actually like out and about more often. I just don't like how the brush sort of created this streak, but I'm washing that out now. Okay, alright, let's start thinking about hair. So I'm going to start with yellow with Jane's blonde hair. Because if I mix brown first to make Lizzie's hair, it'll be very difficult to get it to a lighter tone again. So I'm going to start with the lighter color, which is going to be this sort of very pale yellow. I know that in the actress doesn't have like the blondest hair, but I'm just doing a first wash. There's going to be a wash, a very light yellow wash first, and then go back and like give her more depth to the hair by doing different colors, darker colors, and it's usually the case. Like usually you start with an extremely light layer. What was the name of the guy that married Jane Bennet? I forget. He was Mr. Darcy's companion, his friend. And he tried to dissuade him from marrying Jane. Bingley, that was his last name. Bingley. I forget his first name, but that's not important. It was Bingley. Charles Bingley? Everyone was a Charles or a John or a James back then, I feel like. Alright, see? Jane's hair was very easy because it's just like a little light wash. She's got, her hair's kind of like wild and crazy a little bit because she's busy taking care of Lizzie's hair. Lizzie, who doesn't even look like she's paying attention. Okay, alright, let's finally get to Lizzie Bennet's hair. Okay. Alright, so her hair is going to be a little bit unnaturally orangey. But like I said, it's going to be multiple layered effort to get the hairs to have depth to them, so not too worried about the different of the color. It's looking a little pumpkin-y, but it's okay. Trying to think, like, what other movies have I seen lately that kind of resonate with me the way that Pride and Prejudice does? I don't know, there's something about, like, I don't know, maybe it's because it's nostalgia, but just movies I grew up with just capture me more. I don't know if it's because it's highly nostalgia or if it's the fact that, like, movies were done better in the times of my youth than nowadays. I feel like it's hard to capture exactly the magic of, like, movies you grew up with. Like, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings person, and I was just watching it recently with my partner, and it was just so good. Everything about it was practical effects. Most of it was practical effects. It was just so well, like, done. It was just so... I could just talk forever about how great Lord of the Rings is. Casting was great. The world building was insane. The way that they did hobbits and normal-sized people. There's a method called forced perspective, and we watched this video on VFX artists who try to recreate forced perspective practical effects, because it wasn't CGI. It was all just like people manipulating the environment. And I feel like a lot of people know that photo of, like, one person standing in the front corner of the room and the other person standing in the back corner of the room, and the way the angles of the room make it look like one person's much bigger than the other. But it's even more complicated than that in the movies, because before Lord of the Rings, like, other movies did forced perspective where they had people look very small in comparison to other people, even though they were all, like, the same height because of the way the camera angle and the way that the set design was. But before Lord of the Rings, the cameras always had to be stationary. Like, the camera could not move. And so if you know of movies where they did that, the camera's not moving. Except in Lord of the Rings, the camera moves, and it creates this sort of surreal environment because they found out a way to make people still seem like they're smaller even with the camera moving, because once the camera moves, it breaks the illusion. But the way that they did it was that basically the reason the camera couldn't move was because of parallax, which is when the camera's moving, things that are in different distances from each other move at different speeds. So, like, someone who's, like, very big will be closer to the camera and therefore will move faster than someone who's looks smaller but they're further away, because they will move slower. So in the movie, in Lord of the Rings, they put bigger people on moving sets so that they would move slightly faster than their co-stars. So, like, scenes where Frodo is with Gandalf, and, like, Frodo looks very small and Gandalf looks huge. Gandalf is actually, like, on a moving set. Like, he's, like, moving separately from Frodo, because as the camera's moving, Gandalf is supposed to be moving faster. So, like, yeah, it's insane. It's like you should, if anyone is interested in how movie magic and practical effects are done, like, look up how forced perspective was done in Peter Jackson's original Lord of the Rings movies, and it is, like, I learned so much. I didn't realize it was so confusing. It was insane. It was incredibly informative, though. Alright, so I'm going to try and do the gowns a little bit. So I'm just going to color in the color of their gowns, but I have to, like, achieve this very subtle cream color a little bit. So I'm going to see if I can try and get that same creamy tone. Sorry, I went on like a tangent about forced perspective there, but it's because it's so incredible. And like they don't do that anymore, and like people who are the VFX artists who are learning this were like, why don't people do this? It's because people aren't trained anymore. People don't have the proper training to do this sort of technique and carry the information forward, because everything's done faster and supposedly better using CGI and computer effects. So not to say that like CGI and all that can't be important. I feel like it's done a lot to improve concepting for movies, so it's not just like hugely impossible all the time. But I feel like, I don't know, there's just like a little bit of that lost magic of people troubleshooting something and achieving something that couldn't be achieved before, like really pushing the boundaries of a medium, because the vision requires it. And I feel like a lot of people like now just go for the easy route, the fastest route, and I feel like that's not always that does not lead to deeper grooves in your brain, is like my final conclusion, is that like your brain is meant to have some difficulty. Your brain is meant to experience some level of troublesome things, for it to troubleshoot things, for it to problem solve, for it to go through the rounds of what it can achieve by repeatedly facing failure. And I feel like nowadays the instant gratification of having something come out instantaneously great, instantaneously perfect, without sort of much effort involved or much failure involved, is kind of detrimental to brain growth. Just feels a little bit like, you know, your critical thinking skills, your sense of pushing beyond your limits, really testing yourself. Those are all only achievable if there's genuine obstacle, if there's genuine things like happening and are in your way, things that restrict you, things that trouble you. Those are like, I feel like, necessary things to create deeper grooves inside your brain. Because the ultimate insult is like, oh, that's a real smooth brain response, which is just, you know, a fancy way of calling someone unintelligent. And I feel like your brain can only overcome difficulty if it's repeatedly put through the process of trying to solve things and find solutions and things like that. And I feel like less and less nowadays people can't take that risk. Alright, I'm gonna let this page dry just a little bit, but you can see a bit of what's going on here. It's very, very light and almost like translucent looking on the stream. It's not the case in person. So yeah, we've got, the page is starting to warp on me a little bit because it's rejecting the water. It's rejecting all the moisture I'm pouring into it. Okay. So, I'm like kind of unsure how to proceed. I think I'm going to add more watercolor to the hair area and really bring out the definition. I think the rest of it though, after doing that, the set pieces here, I'll paint those at the end. But what I really want to do is get the figures sort of finalized. So I think I'm gonna add a little bit more layer of color to the hair, and then I'm gonna use colored pencil for the rest of it, as well as colored pencil and like an ink pen, something pretty, like thin and standard. I'm just testing the pressure points of these ones. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more color. First to Elizabeth's hair. I feel like I'm making a little like potion area with all the different colors I have in my little palette. Like you can see, I'll bring it over, but my little palette of colors happening. Alright, for Lizzie's hair, I think she's got a lot of shadow happening behind her head, so she's gonna get more of a tonal difference back here. Almost looks like Jane's hand is going into her head, so I'm going to try and get rid of some of that. Yeah, I was saying earlier that I mostly do a lot of I use a lot of inks and I use a lot of liquid watercolor instead of the paint version, like the paint tube versions. And I also do a lot of block printing as well. That's kind of my main, that's sort of been my main form of art recently. And I really like block printing. I'm also big into fiber arts. And I'm constantly looking for ways to do embroidery. It's just that embroidery takes so much time. So I'm trying to find a good balance between doing works of art that will be sort of business friendly, but also can be tied into my love of embroidery. So that's going to be my next few weeks, is finding a way to balance that. Almost looks like Elizabeth's hair is almost like Grecian, just the way it's done up. It looks very and the way that they're dressed right now makes them look like they're wearing sort of Grecian clothing. Alright, I'm gonna do Jane's hair. I'm actually gonna add a little bit of that brown from Lizzie's hair into Jane's. I actually like doing that, where it sort of carries colors over between different characters, different parts of the scene, so that you get sort of cohesiveness in an image. Again, similar to Lizzie's hair, a lot of the shadow is back behind the head. So a lot of the depth of color is going to come from back there. Okay. Alright, I think that gives me enough color to play around with. So I should be able to mess around, add some color pencil stuff. Wow, it's like a weird colored sky out there. Sort of dusky, but there's a lot of cloud cover, so it looks like the clouds are almost like a pale orange. I'm actually going to move my color pencils over here. And let this dry a little bit. There's a lot of moisture happening. Alright, now's the fun time to test all these colors. Okay. I'm going to very subtly shade in and sort of cover up my lines. I'm also looking to like reinforce the background as well. So that takes care of some of the outlining for me, as if the background is also shaded in. Okay, let's see. Maybe it's too dark. Let's see if I can try a different peachy tone. I feel like whatever I'm doing here, it like does not translate to the camera at all. Maybe something even lighter. Okay, that's what I needed. Something that was like a smoother gradient. I'm giving her sort of more depth to her body. It's like this blender sort of effect I'm going for. Alright, let's see if we can tackle the hair. She's got like sort of these darker brows that are almost brown, I want to say, but I don't want to do brown because I'm worried it'll just end up looking brunette. So let me try with a really dark yellow first and see if her brow will like kind of get captured. Okay, that seems fine. I'll keep this yellow around. And then, okay, here come the eyes, which is tricky. I think her eyes are actually like blue, but I'm doing my own interpretation, and I'm gonna do brown. I think I'll give her brown eyes. So you can kind of see me identifying. And then I'm going to give her sort of a darker tone towards the center so she has like a pupil-y direction. That's not dark enough. Let's do black then. Actually, let's do this very, very dark gray. Maybe that'll work. Okay. Alright, so she's got a bit of color now. There's a movie with Keira Knightley that I really want to watch. I haven't seen it. It's kind of old. Lots of people love it, but I know what the story is, and I'm just so... I know it will make me very sad, and it's Atonement. It's her and... my god, I can't remember any actors' names today. But yeah, it's a period... again, it's like a sort of period. It's not as period as Pride and Prejudice. But I know what the story's about. I know it's sad. And I don't want to watch it because of that reason. It's fairly old at this point. Like, it's been around for a while. Alright, let's do my favorite part, which is now the hair. Hair time. Just adding color for the sake of adding color now. Clearly, Jane is my favorite. Spending so much time on her. But yeah, Atonement. That's the movie that I fear. I mean, I really like how it looks. I really like the scenes. There's a lot of, I think, transfer of style between Pride and Prejudice and Atonement. It's like, the story is like the opposite, so I'm just really worried that it will make me cry. Okay, alright, let's get to work on Jane's hair. This is the moment I've been waiting for. So let's take a look. She's got these moments of sort of... Whoa, that's not dark enough. Sort of wavy locks that are caught. And try to emulate that in the brush strokes and the paint that I applied. She's got these braids going on as well, which is a little bit trickier. Oops, sorry. I don't know if that was particularly loud for you all. Sorry, I'm just going through my pile of color pencils to see what works. Okay. Okay, let's see if I can get maybe some of her braids. Keep wanting to tinker with like other parts of her facial features. The hair is so much fun. I like wispy hair. I like hair that's voluminous. Hair that's wrapped in a bun. Anything that allows me to play around with hair is always so exciting. Okay, I like that I'm doing this like in multiple shades of yellow. It really like captures the nuances and the shine of her hair at different parts. Because I think if I used the same yellow to outline everything, it would have looked kind of bad. Also, like, I will post the final image onto the Discord as well, so so people can see the final result in a way that I see it, because I know that the live streams sometimes don't capture fully very well, especially on dark days like this, like how the final image ended up looking. I don't like how her lips are just a little bit too to match the color of the rest of her skin. There we go. Okay, so a little bit of depth just for me. I really hope my computer this year doesn't fall apart and melt from the heat. It's got lots of fans and things going on, but yeah, I'm worried that there's some hardware in there that's melting. I have a brown that's less aggressive. It's less aggressively black. Possibly this one. My PNG tuber is like moving along with the pencil sharpener. Alright, this is how much time I'm spending on Jane's hair. I wonder how much time I'm going to spend on Elizabeth's hair. Alright, I've given her a braid. This page here is like very bumpy because of the amount of water that was forced there. Okay, alright, I think we are approaching the end of Jane's hair being done. I didn't get to have it as realistically depicted as much as the character in the reference photo, but mine's a sort of softer, more like phased out, daisy looking version. Oh, thank you. I feel like, but her hair is like cut off at the top because of the border I set myself, so I feel like her hair is just kind of fading into nothingness up there. Alright, let's give her some shading on the arm. Let's get her arm fully realized there. Oh, I might have colored in a bit of her dress instead. Whoopsie. Okay, her arm has some texture to it now. Okay, where did that green go? Alright, so this is where the green comes in handy. Alright, some of that green is doing the work for me, outlining her. Alright, I feel like I'm just procrastinating because I'm kind of intimidated starting on Elizabeth. Because, first of all, don't know how much I love her face in comparison to Jane's, but I can do it. She's a brunette as well, which kind of makes it easier to work with darker colors. So actually, let me step into it and just do her eyes first. Really bring out the eyes first. Oh, I just broke a colored pencil. Wow, that's never happened before. There were too many shavings and it broke my colored pencil. Look, it broke completely. Well, I won't be using that brown. That brown is now gone. I'll have to reshape that later. Okay, let's do Elizabeth Bennet's face. Alright, I'm just gonna actually outline her eye. I don't want her to look grouchy and angry. I want her to look pensive and distracted. Okay. I'll work with some really dark browns, some blacks. Just very faintly adding her eyebrow. I gave her a thick brow because that's sort of her look in the movie as well. And then, let's see. I'm gonna give her a heavy lid. She looks very different from her sister, stylistically. I feel like stylistically I might have lost the plot between them, but they almost look like they're not related. Drawings, they take time. They take time to do. I feel like I need to work on a way to do art more like in a way that sort of gets the point across faster, you know? Like I dilly-dally in a lot of details, and I feel like I wish I was someone who could like capture a composition very quickly. Alright, it is time to move on to the hair. Oh, actually, let me do her lips first. Let her lips get accentuated. She really does look very different from her sister. Unintentionally. Okay. Alright, we're gonna need to figure out some browns to use. Let's see. I want like a sort of very dark, deep brown, not gray. Okay, I think I have like one that's very similar to black, almost black. And then I have this other brown from earlier. Alright, I think it's time to do the curls. Alright, she's got the braids up here. James McAvoy. Sorry, that name finally came to me. The actor who plays the male lead in Atonement. It's funny that when my memory is like constantly like chugging away in the background, it's like, oh, that thing you like couldn't remember when it was essential an hour ago. I now finished the task of recalling it for you. Alright, I feel like the detail with the pencils is really doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But she still kind of looks like a redhead, just from the colors that I chose from painting, but still it's way better than before that line was done. So I don't really have any like formal training in the arts besides what I took in high school, which was a very long time ago. But yeah, there was a time when I was going to pursue going to art school, and I have members of my family who went to art school. My parents were very supportive of the idea of me like building a portfolio. But I feel like I had a very encouraging art teacher, but I remember like I did this like art summer school at a museum, and it was like an internship slash summer. I guess it was like a summer internship, but I don't really. It also felt very much like a sort of a camp, but I don't know. It just felt like I maybe took on more than I was like kind of being overambitious maybe with my goals of art. So like when I got into this internship and did it at this like very prestigious museum with a bunch of other art students who were very, very talented, it kind of made me, it's like when you go to college and you realize like you're going from a small fish, from like a big fish in a small pond to a small fish in a really big pond. That's kind of how I felt with this internship I did, where I felt just very much out of my depth. I was sort of questioning a lot of my creative decisions. I felt like I wasn't as creative as a lot of my compatriots were, and it gave me a really bad imposter syndrome, probably for years actually, now that I think about it. I think it gave me such bad imposter syndrome that it took me years to feel like I was a creative person authentically. So I also had very, very talented classmates at my high school, and it just felt very much like I was kind of out of my depth, unfortunately, and it gave me a huge existential crisis because I was like so sure that art was like something that came easy to me, and like I felt very prepared for, and I felt very supported by it. But for some reason, like as soon as like it introduced like me entering the sphere of like people who wanted to be professional artists who had the same goals as me, it felt very intimidating, and I felt very much like I was, like I said, like very much out of my depth. It felt like what I made wasn't good enough. It felt like oh, maybe I shouldn't have a career in the arts, because I just feel like I'm not up to standard, and I feel like a lot of my peers would be better artists than me. So I actually went on a very long trajectory of like, I think that's why college was really hard for me, because I'd lost this sort of core identity of myself. And so I spent all of college, which is a very expensive time to be figuring out who you are as a person. I felt like I spent that whole time trying to figure out who I was if I wasn't doing art. And I spent a lot of like extra time and wasted time, I think. I know a lot of people are like, don't regret like the time you spent, but I think in this case I do regret it, because I did spend quite a lot of time in school figuring things out when I should have, I don't know, I should have had like sort of part of my core identity already sort of figured out already, considering it was such a big part of me before I went to college. So, and it wasn't until I became an adult, after working in many fields that did not relate to art, that I realized that like actually I think I kind of hate everything except art. So yeah, it's kind of strange how the brain and circumstances like bring you back to something that you've kind of already known about yourself for a very long time. So yeah, I wish I could go back. I wish I can kind of go back in time and tell my teenage self, like, it's okay, like, there's a lot of really hardworking artists out there. A lot of them will make very beautiful things and be extremely creative, but this is like an essential part of who you are, and this is a part of your life that you can't let go. Even if you do try to do other things and stray away from it, you will probably end up going back to it. And yeah, I wish I came to that realization maybe sooner, but I'm not upset postgraduate wise, like how my life, the trajectory of my life, because it was a pretty good run. It was a pretty good run of the sciences. It's now a core part of me to like embrace that side of me that really enjoys the sciences, really enjoys fields like anatomy. Alright, I'm just kind of filling in space now, but I know it's really hard to see from here, but I think for the most part I have both sisters down, head-wise. Not in the body, but we are kind of approaching the end time of the stream. It's been 2.5 hours almost, and this took quite a bit of time. I really like how it turned out, surprisingly. It's got a lot of details missing that I would like to incorporate later, but at the same time, you know, these are meant to be sketches things in practice. Not everything has to be a finished piece of art. So I don't really hold myself to having to finish this if I don't want to, but the option is there in case I do. But yeah, this is my version of the Bennet sisters, and I'm so sorry the lighting situation creates such an effect that like it's kind of hard to see in its full capacity. I know that it seems like you're seeing it now, but it's actually... Let me see if I can do this and maybe it'll be better. This way. But yeah, you can kind of see the subtle textures, the wash background. You can kind of see the brush strokes. It's very tricky. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would like to attempt it again. This is my style, but I feel like I'm still on a stepping stone to getting my image to where I want it to be. So this is pretty close, but I need to work on a way to get the textures I want, mixing paint with line work, with color pencils. That's kind of been my goal working on this. I do like how their faces turned out much better after the initial sketch. Something about coloring it in made it look more authentic to where I wanted it to be. But yeah, this is the Bennet sisters. I might do a little doodle of them another time, but this was a lot of fun. I'm so glad so many of you tuned in and took a look. Thank you for those in chat for chatting with me during this artsy session in Art After Light. And yeah, we've got 2 more weeks of July, so the rest of the schedule is already up. I've got next week scheduled for a landscape study, which is very different, and then the following week after that it will be a little bit more amorphous and dealing with transcribing text into an image based on a poem, which will be really fun. So yeah, this was a fun little study. And then we also had that time study earlier on in the week in the same sketchbook. So this is still here. So if you had done this since the stream, please upload it to Discord. I'd love to see it. And if you've done your own version of a sketch of the Bennet sisters, then I would love to see that as well. If you could put that up onto the Discord. The link is always going to be down below every video, but otherwise we've got landscape studies next Wednesday, and that was today's Art After Light. So thanks. Subscribe, join the Discord, follow me on Instagram if you want more news, and I do a lot of my posting on Instagram, but I'm also open to chatting about things on the Discord as well. So yeah, drop a comment, drop your art, and I'll see you next week on Wednesday. Thanks you guys. Good night.